So we are here with Dr. Melissa Akaka, and she is in the marketing department at Daniels College of Business. And her and I were having a conversation the other day. Melissa, thank you for doing this. It's great to see you.
Yeah, see you to see you too.
So we were talking the other day about kind of reframing what's going on with COVID. And apparently, everyone sees, all the problems, et cetera, and there's tons of problems. But I think there's a lot of, we talked about this, I feel like there's a lot of opportunities that could come out of the changes or the challenges from COVID. And I was curious, just kind of wanted to open it and say, what kind of things do you think about in regards to those opportunities?
So I think COVID has been a really challenging shift in the way we live our lives. And we realize that a lot of our daily actions and interactions rely on things that we took for granted for a long time. And when these problems came up and we would never even really have considered to be problems, or were never concerned about problems like going to the grocery store or going to school or going to work, or just going for a run, we didn't realize how easily and how fragile all of these activities that we do on a daily basis really are. And so this brought with it a lot of anxiety, as I'm sure we've all been feeling. A lot of change has been occurring, but it's also brought a lot of opportunities for solutions to problems that were maybe even underneath the surface. So things like online shopping, brick and mortar retailers have been struggling for a long time with trying to get people in their stores, and all of a sudden people were not allowed in their stores. And so in order for them to be relevant and maintain their value in the market, they had to pivot more than they probably would have had this not occurred. And so you see a lot of innovations in restaurants and retail and different types of shopping delivery services that came out during this time that my guess is will probably be sustained for a while, even after the pandemic sort of gets resolved, because there are opportunities for solutions in terms of convenience and safety. I think even when the pandemic is resolved and this vaccine goes through, people are still going to be very leery about going out in public and interacting with other people. So these solutions will be around for a while, if not forever.
Yeah, I was going to say safety seems to be the real obvious one. And I feel like that's going to be carried on for, I don't know about generations, but at least, it feels like 5 to 10 years. I hear a lot of people going, I'm still going to wear a mask. Because I don't know if you've seen the numbers, but the flu numbers are way down. Like it's basically been eliminated because people wearing masks, and so you're not going to get sick. The other one too, it was funny. You said something. I saw somebody had created a plugin for Chrome, or an extension for Chrome, which would allow you to search on a specific product, and it would tell you if that product was available in local businesses. And I thought of that when you were talking, because I think that's a great example of, okay, so how could I not only, keep my business afloat, but potentially out compete Amazon, because I can order that thing and get it, in 2 hours as opposed to, a day or two. Is there any other behavioral changes you've seen that innovation hasn't really fully addressed yet, or are there probably more additional opportunities?
So I think that's interesting that you bring up kind of like local businesses solving kind of immediate needs and community needs. I think that there's definitely a trend towards buying local and supporting your local community, given everything that's going on, and us wanting to make sure that the businesses that are in place are sustained. So there's a lot of people who are eating or doing takeout from local restaurants just in order to keep them afloat, so that they can continue to eat the food and and in the future be able to go and patronize these places. So I think that it may be not so much in terms of like total innovation coming up with a new technology or a new solution, but I think entrepreneurship is another area where we're really looking to smaller businesses, to startup businesses, to solve problems that we have on a daily basis, and we want to support them. And so I think we see a bigger community effort to say, let's help keep our communities thriving, not just keep Amazon running, right? Because while Amazon provides an incredible solution for a lot of our day-to-day needs, we still need to make sure that our economies, our local economies are viable. So I think we're kind of balancing. There's a trade-off certainly between what I'm going to buy on Amazon and what I'm going to buy locally, and being able to support that as well. And I think that's a kind of a common trend right now.
Yeah, it's funny that we've seen a rise of belief-driven buyers. And it's funny, this is extended to, instead of I believe in that cause or that cause, it's like, I believe in the community and need to support that community. And I know that we've actually, in a lot of ways, we've eaten out more, but as the primary driver was, well, we need to keep our community intact.
Yeah.
I
think one of the just one thought,
Yeah.
kind of following up on that. I think that in terms of thinking about innovation and creating solutions for problems, those who are working to do that, whether it be technology or starting a new business or expanding or extending a business, people or businesses need to, and I feel like everyone is realizing they need to pay more attention to the social interactions and social value of their organizations. Back to your point about kind of thinking about what's the value that this business is bringing beyond the products that they're selling, and how can I align my values with theirs. And so again, this idea of community is becoming more and more important, especially as we think about how we build our brands out and how we sustain our brand relationships with our customers as they emerge, evolve, and change.
Yeah, and it's funny, you mentioned something earlier that made me think about this. When people talk about innovation, they naturally think of technology. It's like, yeah, but there's other ways to do. So, Amazon is great at efficiency, but if I'm selling jewelry, right, I need to be probably more effective because someone's spending a ton of money on, this one item that's going to represent, if it's a marriage, a wedding ring or something like that. So we actually have a student that's in the industry, the jewelry business, and they're like, we talked about the efficiencies and all that. They're like, we don't know what to do. It's interesting though, but it's like, well, you could use this to be more effective. So you could actually take rings that they think they might like to their house under the guise of safety, show it to them, and maybe make an event of it, which is, well, we're going to feed you, we'll cater something and feed you, et cetera. And you can shop for rings while you're here, et cetera, because not many people going out to spend money on those things necessarily, because it's like, well, luxury is right now. I mean, unless you're looking for the Gucci onesie, right, to stay home in, it's not doing too well, from my understanding. But I think innovation extends beyond just that technology piece, which I heard you say, I appreciate that. I think that's smart.
It really comes down to the customer experience. I mean, we're realizing more and more that we have to include elements of the customer experience that we never thought about before, and so research becomes even more important. The consumer insights. So we run my colleague and I run an insights research center, and we study consumer behaviors, and not just psychology or psychological phenomena, but a sociological phenomena as well. And how does shifts in society, like a global virus, change the way we behave and interact with each other? How does that impact the experiences that we're having, right? And we need to think, if we can focus on innovating around those experiences rather than innovating around the products, we can then come up with really creative solutions, like your idea of bringing jewelry into people's homes so that they can have their own personalized event for it. So that we can continue to strengthen our brand, but in doing so, we're actually building stronger relationships with our customers.
Indeed, yeah, and I think right now those relationships are what keep you and I buying local, right, et cetera. So all of a sudden, it's funny, probably more so than ever, that I think companies are going to realize that's more important than ever, right? Because I think of Amazon as a habitual thing, but I think of, I'm not loyal necessarily to a business, but I'm loyal to my community, and that business lives in that community. Then all of a sudden it becomes important that I buy from them, and we have a mutually beneficial relationship. It's going to be interesting.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that we've learned, especially in higher education, is that just because you can put it online or because you can digitize it doesn't mean you're going to be able to maintain that bond with your customers. So you have to rethink what that experience is going to look like in these digital, technology-driven, socially distant spaces, so that you can recreate the kind of engagement that you once had with them, or even enhance it or improve it for the future. Because again, especially in a situation like higher education, now we know content is available online. What's the added value of a student coming into our classrooms and onto our campuses? And it's definitely far beyond the textbooks they're reading or even the lectures that they're getting in class. It has so much to do with the interactions that they make with peers and other faculty, and the opportunities they have for co-curricular activities, and the networking that happens outside of the classroom. And I think those are the types of things that organizations like higher education absolutely need to think about it, but so do companies that are running retail stores who are thinking about, how am I going to engage with my customers? It's not enough to have them come in and buy something off the rack. What is going to be that emotional engagement or that emotional incentive for them to show up and to stay? So that it's bringing to light a lot of the importance of really understanding customer experiences more fully and more wholly, and then understanding the duration of them. So it's not just one transaction that matters anymore. We have to think about how these relationships and these engagements with customers are going to last over time, and how they're going to evolve over time as customers themselves grow and change.
Agreed. That's an awesome point to end with. Thank you very much for taking the time to
Sure.
do this. I appreciate it.
That was fun. Thanks.
Thank you.